Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, AP Bio. I'm back for another video. This is topic 3.5, photosynthesis. My name is Chris Mansour, and I'm coming to you from Tiffin-Columbian High School, room 102. In daily video 1, this lesson will explain how the process of photosynthesis allows organisms to capture and store energy. The skill that we'll focus on today is on how to support a scientific claim. And again, the scientific claim and these skills are very important for you to do well on the AP exam in May. So what will we learn? What will we learn? How do organisms capture and store energy for use in biological processes? How are the light-dependent reactions involved in the capturing and transforming of energy? What are the products of the light-dependent reactions? And how are the light-dependent reactions and the Calvin cycle reactions related? We got a lot going on, but my plan is to break it down into small steps that you'll be able to kind of understand and also come up with good questions for your teachers. So the first thing, organisms capture and store energy for use in biological processes. Photosynthesis is that biological process. That is the process that captures energy from the sun and produces sugars. And evidence supports the claim that prokaryotic photosynthesis by organisms such as cyanobacteria was responsible for the production of oxygen in the atmosphere. So these early prokaryotes were responsible for the production of oxygen in the atmosphere, which is important. And finally, photosynthetic pathways are the foundation for eukaryotic photosynthesis. And so here on this picture on the right, we have a process of photosynthesis, just kind of giving you an overview. So the light-dependent reactions, requiring light, of photosynthesis in eukaryotes involve a series of pathways. So these pathways are these small sequential steps. So light-dependent, again, dependent reactions capture light energy by using light-absorbing molecules called pigments. Think of pigments as colors, right? And so if you see my blue arrow or the arrow going in, you can see where we're pointing to where that pigment source would be. Pigments help transform light energy into chemical energy, and that chemical energy is going to be temporarily stored. So that light energy is going to get converted into chemical or transformed into chemical energy, and that chemical energy is then going to be temporarily stored in the chemical bonds of a carrier molecule called NADPH. So what happens is then those light-dependent reactions, not only do they help store that energy in NADPH, but they also help facilitate ATP synthesis. And so in that blue box there, if you look, you can see where I've isolated, you can see the ATP being produced, and you can see some NADPH being produced. Just follow the arrows. And ATP and NADPH transfer stored chemical energy to power the production of organic molecules in another pathway called the Calvin cycle. And so you can kind of see a sequence: sunlight hitting the pigments, you have your ATP, your NADPH being produced, going into the Calvin cycle. So think of it as a small series of pathways. And another important part of this pathway is that oxygen is produced as a result of water hydrolysis. And so that's where the oxygen is being produced, is when that water is broken up. So let's do some practice. Lesson skill argumentation, we're going to support a claim with evidence, again, evidence from biological principles, concepts, processes, and or data. And again, these skills are important for you to do well on the AP exam. So here's our skill practice argumentation. A researcher claims that the initial rise of oxygen in the Earth's early atmosphere, which occurred approximately 2.3 billion years ago, resulted from the metabolic activity of prokaryotic organisms. The claim is based on an interpretation of geochemical and fossil evidence represented in Figure 1. I'm not going to go over the image with you, but again, which of the following types of evidence will best support the researcher's claim? Go ahead, pause the video, talk to your friends if you're in a Zoom chat, or if you're in a classroom, or again, if you're sitting there eating breakfast with your family or whoever, maybe show them this question, see what they think. So go ahead, pause the video, and I'll be back whenever you're ready for the answer. And we're back. So hopefully you had some really lively discussion. So again, which of the following types of evidence will best support the researcher's claim? A, who's got A? Again, I'm in my classroom by myself, so I can pretend my students are here. B, maybe a couple of you. C, all right, D. Best answer is D in the green box. Evidence that cyanobacteria, if you noticed, we had talked about cyanobacteria previously, produce oxygen as a byproduct of photosynthesis. So again, that is the type of evidence that best supports the researcher's claim. So what should we take away from this video? There is a lot going on here, but here are key takeaways. Again, maybe you want to pause this and let me write down these key takeaways and go back to the video. Plants and other autotrophs use pigment to trap light energy to make organic molecules. The pigment used in the light-dependent reactions help transform light energy into chemical energy. So again, a transformation process. The chemical energy is temporarily stored in the chemical bonds of that carrier molecule called NADPH. The products of the light-dependent reactions are ATP and NADPH. If you notice, we're focusing on what the products are because the products are going to be important because they're going to eventually be used as reactants. And then ATP and NADPH are products that will be used in the Calvin cycle to produce those carbohydrates. So again, I want to thank you for your time. I know this is a lot of material. I want to thank all